You know, the storyline in Dragonflight, it was what it was. A lot of us felt like it was too touchy-feely, kind of missed the mark in some points. I will say Iridikron seems like to be a good character. All of the stuff with Xal'atath has been pretty good. But overall, the Dragonflight questline left some, to be desired. Well, the War Within storyline is continuing forward with this, and hopefully it's going to be much better. Beliar is giving his first impressions of WoW's new expansion story. Let's see what he has to say.
There's story to talk about. I don't know if we could do that justice.
No, because I would make stupid jokes because my brain's turned to rot. But I will say a quick thing.
Just TLDR good, I think.
I'll say my bit and then we'll do a very quick TLDR.
Let me move my camera.
They've definitely solved the problem of nothing ever happening.
Yeah, it does feel like there's something always going on in World of Warcraft. I do have to say that. There's always something. Now, whether or not that's what he's referring to, I just feel like there's some type of WoW event going on constantly.
The Nerubians are on your ass so bad. You fight
That's
them
cool.
all the time. They're constantly like where you don't expect them to be. Like story-wise, they are a danger there, a threat, just like Xal'atath is.
Nice.
So that was like the first thing I experienced with the...
I like that. I feel like that's what Blizzard tried to do with the Maw back in Shadowlands, and they failed miserably because the Maw was just a piece of shit zone that nobody wanted to be in. But they tried to create this existential threat, like this feeling that there's constantly a war going on, like you're constantly on the verge of being attacked. They tried this Eye of Sauron shit with the Jailer. It was dumb as shit, the Eye of the Jailer and everything. And you couldn't mount. It was a horribly done zone. But overall, the concept of feeling threatened is kind of cool and foreign to WoW since vanilla, back when you could be killed by a random NPC. So it's nice to kind of feel like, oh, there's going to be a battle going on with the Nerubians constantly.
First thing I really noticed about the story campaign, it was otherwise a pretty good campaign, but that was the part...
No mounts from the start ruined it, I agree.
The other thing is... I like this a whole lot more than I do Dragonflight initially, right away.
That's
Straight off
good.
the bat, I'm like, this is...
And even though it's a zone that hasn't particularly resonated with you,
Yeah, and this zone, I don't give a shit. The zone, I do not give a shit about the other thing.
you are going to be sweating in Latin.
The rage I felt whenever I was like, because I didn't know it was just the first zone to begin with, but I finished the zone and I was like, it's like go to the Ring of Deeps through whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. And then
the Ringing Deeps is the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to go down there.
Oh, whenever you get to
And then-
Hammerfall, it's going to be great.
And then it just went, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And yeeted me, not back to Dornogal, but the whole way back to Stormwind. And I was like,
Cheers.
Oh, okay, because he's playing alpha. Yeah, so basically he's saying he was enjoying the game so much he was ready to go to the next zone, and it booted him out because that part of the alpha wasn't open yet.
right, fuck you then.
Go and talk to Quest, Torin.
Yeah,
Jesus,
but
boy.
generally speaking, like I, there's a weird part where I can't get like fully engaged in it when I'm testing. Because it's alpha and like the frame
Music's not there.
The frame of mind. Yeah, the music's not there, the cutscenes aren't there. You get the cuts what happens in the cutscenes briefly via text. That's basically it. So it's a bit scuffed in experience because it's not done yet. Which takes away
the music definitely is part of the immersiveness of especially when you enter a new zone for the first time. Like when we played The War Within on stream, I'm definitely putting the music on. You got to have it. It's part of the entirety of the new zone. So yeah, I understand what he's saying there. Probably loses some of the immersion.
Knock a point or two from my expectation just for that. Where I have to assume, well, it's going to be better than that. It's going to be better than what I think it is. Because not think, but like gut feeling. And my gut feeling was, this is better than Dragonflight, but there's still a little bit of lax pacing. And then I remember that the dungeon and the event in it was skipped over because it wasn't like, ready for testing. And I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, this is really... It's a little tiny bit by the numbers good, but it's still better than Dragonflight. It has some of the slightly similar vibes because you're being introduced to new people.
Sure.
And there's that like pacing issue of you have the intro that we're not going to see, and that's pretty high stakes, pretty big stuff happens.
Yep.
That's like...
Yep.
Yeah, it is weird that like they're playing through this, but they're not getting like certain story content, dungeons, things like... Yeah, it's like a half-baked version of the game. Obviously, it's alpha. You said you wouldn't want to play alpha. Honestly, if I wasn't streaming, I wouldn't want to play alpha either. because it is like it's like I don't know, like a Tic Tac version of the game. It kind of does ruin some of the expansion for you because you're seeing it for the first time in an unfinished version. So there's that aspect to it. Yeah, but if I wasn't trying to stream and create like content for YouTube and stuff, I wouldn't really want alpha access either. And it's the one thing that kind of comforts me is that I haven't gotten alpha yet, so I don't have to spoil anything for myself. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I like the thing that he still likes it. He likes it, even though it's an unfinished product. Says a lot about it.
Egov,
It's probably
we've got your
good.
attention, get in. Then you inevitably enter the valley of thing just happened. You need time to like recover and build up anew. So we'll see what happens whenever we get to the next one. Whenever we get to the next like zone and see what happens when we go to Halifal, how much that's like baked around. I will say, I think we might run into a similar-ish issue with Dragonflight, which is this is really quite short. Depends on how
campaign?
balanced it is, but if the like questing of this is the length of the Isle of Dorn times 4, and there's not an awful lot more to it, I would be a little bit concerned about like, oh, that's a tiny bit shorter. At least as far as like time to tell a good story is concerned. Which then runs us into the same problem of, are you telling your story in 11.0, or are you going to continue that story directly at 11.1 and 2?
Yeah,
3?
or even worse, are you telling the story outside of the game? It's a problem WoW's always had, where they start telling stories outside of the game. They release like these on more YouTube content or something, or a novel or whatever, and it does kind of ruin the story, because you really want the majority of the story, if not the entirety of it, in a perfect world in the game, right? You want to be told everything about the game in the game. So hopefully it doesn't mean that, again, they're missing a lot of stuff still. They're playing alpha, so it could change. But yeah, I hope the story chain is longer than they're basically leading on to here.
Because Dragonflight,
I don't mind the YouTube videos either, Tundra, but I want them integrated into the game. Like, I want the cutscenes to happen in the game too. That just creates better immersion. You remember, oh yeah, this happens right now. It's much better.
didn't do a great job of that.
Holly
Dragonflight
said
did
that they
bits.
were. Holly actually. Yeah, you haven't watched the interview.
Yeah.
One of the things she said is they felt that. Like, my question was, what are, maybe like a counterintuitive lesson learned? And it was like, sometimes, more content isn't better. And she then specifically talked about the packaging of content, people knowing where that content is.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
like a lot of those things that I think we're speaking to the cohesiveness problems that this expansion has faced.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I definitely feel.
You make an interesting point, Tweak, that you think they're shortening it for the other two expansions to get out quicker. I mean, we do know that these expansions are going to be shorter. They're not going to be 2-year expansions anymore. So that's an interesting thought. Maybe they got to make the intro a bit shorter because you got to get through the expansion quicker. That could be part of it. The leveling up part of the expansion is going to be quick. It's not going to take too long. So maybe that's why. It sure needs
Feel
to
a little
chill.
bit of that whenever I played through. It was like, just on story, I struggle to imagine this being a good story expansion experience of an expansion if it's just for these. But I don't know what happens. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's shorter or not. Like, so that's the.
It is quite, yes, because maybe in the time of a whole zone, in the past, that would have been like just the campaign leading up to Wrathgate in one zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because leveling just used to be so much more of the journey.
Took way longer.
Which, then it's funny. You almost think, like, keep the XP bar going.
Yeah.
Let people just keep the XP bar going. Guild Wars 2 does it successfully enough. Let people do those quests so that whenever they go and they do the side quests on their main character, they feel like they're doing more than just filling out an achievement.
Yeah.
I mean, there is also seeing the quest, but I mean, realistically, MMOs, we know.
It's like to me it does come across as like like we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what it feels like. But I am immediately just like, I hope there's like a decent pacing of story content.
Yeah, they do have to deal with the fact that I feel like players don't have the patience for long-term leveling anymore. which is kind of sad, but people, it's a society of instant dopamine hits. So filling out that bar, like where it used to take 3 days to fill out a bar and Burning Crusade, going from 79 to 80, freaking took you multiple days to do. Now people just want to get on and they want to see that bar constantly moving up and dinging and moving on to the next level. So it does create a shorter timeline to tell a story, right? They can't spread shit out as far as they used to anymore. So they got to deal with that stuff. What is up? What's up, guys? How's it going?
If it's like, here's 11.0 and you've got the story and you're all sorted up, unless they can really blow me out of the water
Yeah,
expectation.
you didn't have. The alts were not as altaholic as they are today, too. That's for sure.
I long for the days of Legion class wall campaigns, like in terms of let me do a thing. I know, no, fuck it. I long for the days of Suramar. I long for Suramar. I want to hit max level, and it goes, you've done the campaign.
Suramar was awesome.
Now here's a story bit that we're going to like pace reasonably slowly out that like makes you feel like you're not just, and you're going and brick fucking wall at it.
Yeah.
Because that's like a lot of my problem. That's a lot of my problem. Basically. Yeah, music's another thing where the complete lack of music
Music's big.
does really hamper the experience immediately, which is not going to be a thing when it goes live, obviously.
Yeah. No, look, they make some good points. I think they should stand their ground with long-term leveling. I wish they made the leveling process longer. I personally enjoy leveling a lot. It's my favorite part of a new expansion. When a new expansion drops, I get giddy. Like giddy about doing the new leveling. I really do. I enjoy the leveling. I enjoy the storytelling. I enjoy the lore. It's a fun process. And it is sad that it ends quicker now than it used to. But that's society today, I guess. So they're just catering to that. Anyways, good video. We'll have to see how the War Within turns out.